Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. You just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, Vikings Vent Line right here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel every Sunday. Hope everyone's enjoying a nice Memorial weekend. I got my guys Chris and Jeff here who are about to join me to talk some off-season, talk upcoming expectations for this season. And of course, this is Vikings Vent Line, a Vikings fan-friendly show. If you'd like to be a part of this, if this is the first time you have stumbled upon this episode, or maybe in general you're just new to the Purple Daily family and YouTube and podcast feeds, every week I like to talk to Vikings fans about the off-season, about the season that's coming up, and get their opinions on things that have happened so far. So if you'd like to be a part of this show, you can hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. That's vikingsventline@gmail.com. You can hit the subscribe button too for daily Vikings entertainment. Hit the like button as well on this video. 5-star rating. You know all the stuff to do, as every podcast likes to say. So yeah, Purple Daily Vikings entertainment. Appreciate everyone here on. And then during the regular season too, of course, Vikings Vent Line is with Mackie, Judd, and myself. We like to welcome a ton of Vikings fans on right after the game. So if you haven't experienced that, you can go back and find them on the YouTube channel. And of course, we'll be ready to rock here in about, I don't know, a little more than 4.5 months, a little less than that, from week 1 in New York against the Giants. So let's get our guys Chris and Jeff in here. Chris is actually enjoying a nice little family vacation in South Carolina. He made some time for Vent Line, though, so I appreciate you, Chris, for making some time on your vacation for us.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And then Jeff in Arkansas. Jeff used to be a OG caller back on the 1500 ESPN, our AM radio days. And then now you're making an appearance here on the new version of Vent Line. Jeff, welcome back, man. How are you?
I'm good. Good to talk to you. It's been too long of a hiatus. I'm hoping to get back and write that down pretty soon. But yeah,
absolutely.
Good to talk to you. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to absolutely make that happen, and let's talk a little JJ McCarthy here off the bat on Vikings Vent Line. So, Chris, I will start with you. Obviously, the Vikings draft JJ McCarthy with the 10th overall pick. Everything is pointing towards Sam Darnold being obviously the week 1 starter as JJ gets his feet wet and learns the playbook, etc. But when do you think the Vikings will end up starting JJ McCarthy?
I think it's got to be somewhere around the middle of the year. I mean, I don't want to be throwing him to the wolves, as say, and especially with the tougher beginning of the schedule, and let him get his feet wet in some end of game scenarios, and don't want to ruin him too early. Throw him to a tough defense and not prepared really.
Yeah. Do you think actually though, Chris, that this is potentially like maybe more of a competition than we thought between Darnold and McCarthy? Like, do you think there's a possibility where maybe McCarthy even beats him out in training camp?
I mean, it's definitely possible if Sam Darnold is still Sam Darnold of yesteryear and he's seeing ghosts. So, I mean, if Sam's still playing like he used to, there's definitely a chance, I think, especially with him being, KOC's guy. So,
absolutely. Jeff, how about you, man? Were you a fan of the JJ McCarthy pick too? And maybe when will he start for the Vikings?
Yeah, so I was a huge fan, and I'm not a college football guy. I watch the Gophers, but I'm not wasting my Saturdays watching, college football games and SEC games down here. It's funny because the people in Arkansas don't even know that there is a professional football league. It's all Razorback. I mean,
right.
College baseball playoffs now, and it's all Razorback football. But I did watch I watched the Texas game, and then I watched the national championship, and yeah, I'd take that guy's 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sunday over Penix. If they took Penix, I was going to be, it's kind of like, it's hard to describe porn, but when you see it, Penix is like that. He had the weird, awkward throwing motion, and he was left-handed. You guys know there's only been 2 left-handed quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's very rare. It's incredibly
Kenny Stabler, going back to Kenny Stabler and Steve Young.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the spin on the ball is different and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I was really happy with that. Personally, I hope he does not play until week 1 next year. And either that means
oh wow, okay.
that either means KOC unlocked Sam Darnold, or Darnold sucks and we just go, okay, we'll move up and get another high pick and we can protect him. But I'm with Chris. Yeah, I don't want him, thrown out there to the wolves in week 1, unless he can handle it. And maybe he can handle it.
Yeah, and I think that's where that's what I'm curious if he can handle it right away, because if he can wow and kind of learn the playbook a lot quicker than maybe anticipated, I think there is a path. But maybe letting Sam Darnold kind of just hold it down for a little bit as McCarthy still learns that playbook and whatnot. They obviously have their hands full trying to figure out what type of QB McCarthy is and how raw he's going to be. I think Sam Darnold is a totally good placeholder and fine quarterback to hold down the fort to start, but when do they turn to JJ? Does that start after a losing streak? They got obviously a very tough schedule to start the season after week 1. So very curious to see the timeline of obviously when they end up starting JJ McCarthy.
I think we'll find out more with Judd's OTA notes and because right now he's like with the second team and what's his name is the backup, which is not exciting at all, but he knows the offense. But
I think Nick Mullins is still probably high up in the coaching favor just because he's been around the NFL for a little bit too. So and when does that succeed each other too? Like when does McCarthy even climb up and beat out Nick Mullins where he's getting second team reps and maybe not third team reps? What about on the defensive side of the ball, Chris? Who do you think they've had a ton of overhaul on the Vikings defense? They said goodbye to a lot of mainstays. They've brought in a lot of players too now for Brian Flores in year 2. Who do you think will be the most impactful player on the Vikings defense this year?
That's funny because I was taking notes, like writing down so I wouldn't forget what I was going to say here. And I came up with 3 guys, and I'm trying to pick between the 3 of them. I think it could be Turner's got a chance if he's going to be what he is expected to be, with him, being projected as one of the highest defensive players in the draft. But on the other hand, I could definitely see it also being Van Ginkel, just because he's been Flores' guy since he was drafted down in Miami. I don't know. It's tough to say. I'd like to hope that Turner's going to be the guy, being first round pick, have him on a rookie deal for 5 years, and if he can be what he's projected to be, I think it could be a pretty special player.
Yeah, if Van Ginkel's the interesting one. Mackey obviously had him ranked incredibly high on his most important players. It shocked me, and maybe there is like this kind of raw ball of clay that's only been used in situational plays with Miami, and even though he's graded out very well there, can he handle being maybe an every down player or maybe the impactful player that Phil thinks he can be? I have to wait and see there a little bit. With Dallas Turner, you were talking about a top 10 guy on a lot of big boards. He falls all the way to 17. How does Flores want to use also a rookie? That's also, I think, going to be very interesting. But because of all the overhaul they've done, they're going to have to trust a lot of these guys that weren't wearing purple last year to be big-time players for them in 2024. And hopefully Flores can have sustained success, where last year it felt like it was in 3 different trimesters of the Vikings defense, where the middle trimester was great, but then the bookends between it were pretty bad. So curious to see if it can be sustained over the course of the year. Jeff, how about you, man? Which player or players are you looking forward to watch on the defense this year?
Well, so I was going to make the sentimental pick and go with Harry, just because I think it's his last year, but I mean this is a 4th and 8 check down, but I think it's Ivan Pace. I think Ivan Pace Jr. with another year in the system. I mean, he got the green dot last year, and now he's got a full year under his belt, kind of the quarterback of the defense, I think, and he's used all over the place. So, I mean, that's kind of who I'm looking forward to. I mean, I want to see the new guys too, and see what they do, but I'm kind of excited about what the Pace can do.
Chris, what did you like about Ivan Pace last year? I mean, he was a guy that kind of came out of nowhere and ended up, to Jeff's point, kind of being a green dot and a very important player on the defense. Do you think there's even another level to his game in 2024?
Well, I think if going into the second year now, he's going to have a lot more responsibility, and I think he's obviously going to thrive. I think in that, just because of how much usage he did get in his first year, and going back to last year's Purple Daily on drafts with you guys, it it seemed kind of wild that he fell to an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
But, I mean, go out and get him, and we got him. So, I mean, he turned out pretty good last year. So I think he's the kind of player that's just going to keep getting better every single year.
Yeah, and maybe Harrison Smith, Jeff, entering maybe the last year of his NFL career. You think there's obviously still a good player left in there, and hopefully he can still, kind of pad that Vikings Hall of Fame, maybe even NFL Hall of Fame type resume that he's been able to show over the course of his career.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, what I want to see in the Atlanta game is Harry get a sack on Cousins, a really hard sack because he cost him money. Cousins cost Harry money by taking it all and not leaving any space, and he had to keep cutting his salary. But yeah, that's a lifetimer. Yeah,
if he can keep that up and keep being the player he's always been, yeah, I mean, I think probably, I don't know if he's Hall of Fame NFL. It might be a longer track to get in there for him. Safety is just a hard position for you to make a big impact. He's obviously a Vikings Ring of Honor candidate, no problem. But yeah, he will. He definitely would love to play the Falcons. That game's going to be a blast, obviously, in December. One more thing here for you guys. So Justin Jefferson's still unsigned, or not getting a contract extension, I should say. He obviously is signed for 2024. Jeff, are you okay with JJ maybe making the most money of any non-quarterback in the NFL? What kind of contract structure, or where do you kind of draw the line, maybe, I guess, with the Vikings star wide receiver?
So I've thought a lot about this, and I think the deal's going to get done. I think it ultimately will get done. I'm fine with it. It's almost like a housing market. The salary cap's going to go up in the NFL. It's not going down, right? It's not going to stay the same. Now that you got all these streaming services in place, next year I bet it goes up. After next season, I bet it goes up another. So get him under contract, right? And I think it's probably all way down in the guarantees, like Florio was saying last fall. But you guys were talking. I would just listen to your pod from yesterday. Florio says this. Scheffler says this, right? Like, so who's like, what's happening? But I'm interested to see if he does what do they call it when they show up but they don't practice?
Hold in, not a
hold
out.
In. Yeah. Instead of a hold out, a hold in. I'm curious to see if that happens. I thought he might show up at OTA since he's there in Minnesota, sitting at the basement of the Wolves game. I would think he'd show up in practice and at least watch quarterbacks, but I don't know. Either way, I'm fine. I'm fine with either way. I'm 60 years old. My whole history of Minnesota Vikings is top receivers, from Gene Washington to Sammy White to Chris Carter and Moss and Diggs, and now we got JJ. So yeah, I just assume keep him unless he's going to be a Diggs. Then
gotta trade him.
Yeah, then get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, the Vikings fans are kind of spoiled with a lot of great wide receivers over a almost damn 30-year run here, even 40-year run with guys going back pre-Moss and whatnot. So, we'll see if JJ gets that bag that he is obviously looking for. Chris, how about you? You're obviously good. Are you a pay Justin Jefferson no matter what type of guy? Is there a line that you like to draw? Where do you kind of see the future of JJ with the Vikings?
I say the only way the deal doesn't get done is if he's looking for fully guaranteed down to the last penny. There's no other massive contracts currently on the team. Got a lot of dead cap this year, but it'll all be gone next year. And having him on the team will really only help JJ McCarthy mature faster in the league. If you have a guy who's as consistent and has as good a hands as Jefferson does, it doesn't seem like just what they put out there and social media and stuff. He doesn't seem like the diva Diggs type of player, at least not yet, but maybe contract talks could bring that out, but it just doesn't seem like it as of now.
Yeah, I don't get the sense. I mean, he wants a big payday, but I don't get the sense that he's going to like throw this huge fuss or, complain that he's not being utilized in the offense. He obviously likes to win like a lot of these competitive wide receivers do, but I think at the end of the day, he just wants the contract that he believes he deserves, which He is, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the league, and he wants to be, paid as such. So I think eventually the Vikings will pay him. It might be dragged out a little bit. I think that's where I'm just trying to push back a little bit of fans getting nervous. But I think at the end of the day, by the time the season starts, week 1 in New York, you're going to see Justin Jefferson under contract and signed as probably the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Before we wrap up here on Vent Line, Jeff, any last takes? Any shout-outs you'd love to give here on Vikings Vent Line? Nice. Very nice.
Shout out to you. That's how long it's been in the refrigerator.
Whoa, look at that thing. Mercy.
I had a friend bring this down a year and a half ago when he came to visit me here at the retirement village. And I'm only saving these for special occasions, but shout out to you. And I got to tell you, Dex, when I listen to you guys in the morning, I listen to the shows you did the day before when I go for my ride in the morning, which also during the pandemic, but that's immaterial. But I can tell you, man, I laugh my ass off and cry, and I get a headache every time you do a Collinsworth impression. I need more Collinsworth.
I appreciate it, Jeff. That's very nice of you. Very nice of
you guys. And you can tell you guys work your ass off and putting out all this content all the time. I hope when your contract's up, if you guys are like under contract, that I'm getting a little irritated with when I'm listening that all these ads and readovers and interruptions with all these sponsors that are jumping on your bandwagon. It's good for you, man.
It is good. At the end of the day, it obviously keeps the lights on and keeps us supporting. The best way for those guys to keep supporting us is our listeners obviously supporting them too. So we appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that. Chris, any last takes, any shout outs you'd love to give here before we get you back on your family vacation? Go ahead here on Vikings Vent Line.
Don't really have any final takes, but I just got to shout out my wife. She deals with all my sports watching. The other night, I got a, hey, can you keep it down and stop clapping during the Wolves game while she was trying to sleep. So that's about it. I mean, she gets annoyed when I start pacing around the house, yelling at the TV. I think she ended up having to leave the living room because she was getting annoyed with me while we were watching the Buffalo game a couple of years back. But, man, that was just great game, fun, but shout out.
The significant others, and go Wolves. Yeah, the significant others of Purple Daily and Minnesota sports fans are the real MVPs who have to put up with all the craziness and heartbreak and heart palpitations that Minnesota sports teams love to give Minnesota sports fans. Appreciate you guys, Chris, Jeff. Thank you so much. For everyone listening, watching, if you want to be on a future episode, you can hit me up. It is VikingsVentLine@gmail.com. This is Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment.